I swear to you, I did not come into this world to reinvent myself. And people want to say that I'm really good at reinventing myself, and I'm glad. And if it inspires you, hooray. You know what I mean? But to me, I'm not reinventing myself. I am just being myself in the most honest and true way that I can at all times. And by the way, that's very difficult, right? It's really difficult to walk away from like something.
Yeah.
You know, like the Target thing, it was a lot of money. We were making a lot of money. And I was like, this is like not working, because I didn't feel it was growing in this way that had integrity. It was growing and growing, but I didn't feel I was getting, it was getting worse as opposed to getting better, which I could have made it better, and they were just not interested, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just growing out of control. It's like, we have to stop this, because, you know, it's an integrity thing, right? So I walked away from a lot of money there, and it didn't bother me at all. It's like Tibor, you know, that thing where the Chanel people said, oh, you know, you could go on forever and you could lose this amount of money and blah, blah. And I was like, I don't want to do that. You know, it's like, and also I just feel strangled by like having this building full of people and like an office in Europe, and it's like, I can't do this. Well, I never went into this for that. I didn't do this for that. I thought it would be this.
Why did you do it?
Because I love clothes. I love people. I love women, especially, you know, and I actually identify as a woman. I mean that. I do. I identify more as a woman than I do as a man. I was doing this interview yesterday.
What do you think that means exactly?
I'll tell you. I was doing this interview yesterday, and she asked me about the Me Too thing, and it happened to be like National Women's Day yesterday.
Yeah, internationally, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, like, how could you ask me these questions about this? It's like, I am a woman. Who do you think you're talking to? Like, how dare you? I was almost like going to say, how dare you? Like, ask me how I feel about how the woman feels, because I much more feel like a woman than I do a man, you know? And
what does that mean, though? Does it mean more sensitivity than a man would have?
It means that, like, you know, there are some men. There's like you, for instance. Let's talk about you. Because on the spectrum of femininity, you have short hair, you know what I mean? You're wearing a black sweater and some very pretty jewelry, right? And so that's your take on what you think a woman is, because you're identifying as a woman, right? Like, somehow this is me identifying as a woman without like surgery or something like that, and without like, what's the word? Hormone, like taking hormone treatments or something like that. But I feel like a woman so much of my time. I mean that. And I do think there is actual like physical attributes to that, you know? Like when I was a kid, I always hated like taking my clothes off. I always hated taking my shirt off, you know? And I have these really good legs. I'm very smooth. You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird. I don't really identify as a man.
And you don't feel like you need to change yourself into a woman physically.
No, I don't. And like, I don't even want to put on like flowy, silky clothes or have long hair.
You have painted your nails,
I paint my toenails. I always have. You see what I mean? It's like the one concession to like, you have earrings and a necklace. You know what I mean? Like the rest, and a little teeny bit of makeup, right? That's it. You're not in big heels and a big hair and a tight dress.
No.
You know, I mean, not everybody needs to do that.
Right.
But I'm telling you, it's like this thing about clothes and this thing about women and about the way they're portrayed. It delights me to such an extent. It hurts me to such an extent, you know? And I feel that's because I am a woman or something, you know? I take it very personally. And the other day I saw this hilarious tweet at me. Someone tweeted, like on the set of Project Runway All Stars, they heard me sort of make this disparaging joke about Black Lives Matter. And I was like, excuse me? Of course I did. That's because I identify as a black person. I am allowed to make, you know, it's like, it's racist of you. Universal. How dare you? You're accusing me of being racist. How dare you? I was like so offended and amused, because it's like, no, I make disparaging remarks about everything on stage at the Carlisle. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not trying to hide racism or hide sexism or, you know what I mean? It's
was it hard for you as a kid? Because you grew up in Brooklyn,
yes.
in a Jewish family.
Yeah. Oh boy.
You say you're fat. You went to the yeshiva, you know, and you probably had, I don't know if you knew you were gay when you were 8 years old.
I knew I was gay.
You knew you were gay.
I mean, it's levels again, like I didn't exactly know what gay meant, but I also knew that I was attracted to men, and I flirted with men. I was definitely gay. I was born homosexual. And yeah, it was not easy. That was the hardest part of my life. And I'll tell you what, like when I went to performing arts high school at the age of 13, you start high school in 13, and I took the train to 46th Street, I literally, from that point on, never looked back because it was a really difficult place. That place in Brooklyn, not merely with the community, because it was a rough community. Orthodox Syrian Jews, rough. That persona non grata unless you are one thing and one thing only, And so it wasn't easy. And the family, like I love my family, love in quotes, because I didn't belong in that family. And I'm not sure who the hell belongs in their family.
Well,
Can
it's
you
like,
show
do you
me?
pick your mother and father? No,
Yeah.
you can't pick your mother and father. Yeah, but you loved your family, just didn't feel like you belonged there.
I didn't really belong with them, I didn't belong with them. Because, in the I used to do female impersonations, like that's what I started doing. Like I
didn't even know that
Streisand and
phase.
Judy Garland. Wait till you read my book.
I did know about
this was a phase.
Streisand because you did a Streisand song at the Carlisle. Yeah.
No, but I used to literally do like amazing. It sounded just like it was crazy. Streisand, Judy Garland, Liza, Shirley Bassey, Dusty. I used to do Dionne Warwick. It was crazy, and I used to do these kind of like pop-up shows. And my parents were like mortified. You can't say that in 1971, at 10, when I was 10, that you're going to encourage a little boy to do female impersonations. Who would in 1971 do that? You know what I mean? But they were very good about not, sort of slapping me across. They didn't slap me across. You know what I mean? They were very humane.
How did they react?
They were embarrassed. They were embarrassed, and I could feel it. But it wasn't their fault. That was the times that we lived in. So it was difficult. But the minute I got to Performing Arts High School, I was one of many kids who did female impersonations. I was one of many homosexuals, And so I kind of never looked back. And it's since then, it's been a matter of managing a kind of like a deep disappointment and sadness about my childhood. You know what I mean? But also this incredible sort of thrill of being set free from that same place. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like it really balances. And I have the greatest life in the world, like I have the most wonderful husband and I have like freedom,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah,
and I get to do what I want, and I'm always making something or creating something, or I do a lot of things. I do many things as opposed to one.
But you talked about Target before, and the fact that Target was kind of a bust after 5 years, and you felt like, I don't want to do this anymore. But QVC, anybody who would hear about QVC and home shopping
would
say, well, I don't know, it's kind of like going from high fashion to QVC is like, it seems like a big road.
Yeah.
It seems like you started one place and went totally to another place.
I don't know.
These are women,
before I
a lot
went to Target, though, it wasn't like, now you can't, now everybody wants a line at Target now, you know what I mean? Everybody wants to, that, right? It's like, now you get more Missoni at Target than you do at Target, and you do at Missoni. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something, right? And at QVC, I don't know why you say that, because I find it to be like such an incredible, cultural, amazing sort of phenomenon.
Well,
and they have so many great brands, they have a lot of great brands. Sorry.
The article that I gave you is about my mother and her relationship to home shopping.
Yeah.
And the host,
and
she
also
was
the
very
paradigms.
involved with the hosts of the shows that she watched.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very personal, and especially I think for older people, and I don't know, for people who might want a connection on television,
Mm-hmm.
those shopping channels have a kind of intimacy.
Yeah, yes, they do. And also, there's a whole paradigm of retailing. The difference in retail, it's like, I don't know how great it is to be like this big designer brand with like a bunch of stores and, selling to Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom's, etc. I don't know how great it is for them right now. I don't think it's too good.
Well, the department stores is not too good.
Yeah.
But
So you see what
do
I
you
mean.
feel like you're selling crap to vulnerable people?
Do I?
Yeah.
I feel like it's the opposite of what
Really?
I'm doing.
Okay.
Have you seen my clothes for QVC? And have you seen
Yes.
the values?
Yes.
Okay, well, if you
Yes.
think they're crap, I'm really
No,
sorry.
no, no.
I
I
think
didn't
they're
say.
incredibly
I
good.
didn't say. I think they are. No,
Oh.
I was just saying.
Well,
in
you
terms
asked,
of the
so
public
that's why
image.
I just assumed. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see.
No,
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 no.
no, no, no. My clothes are incredible at the QVC for the value, but even not for the value. You know, I went shopping with my husband the other day. We were waiting for a table, and we went into a little shop, and he bought a shirt that was half price at $100. And I came out, was like, that shirt is $100 on sale, on half price.
Yeah.
It was a $200 shirt. And and that's not, you know what I used to make. I used to make like $1,600 like teeshirts. You know what
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
used to make.
Yeah.
And I used to go, why does this t-shirt have to be $1,600, you know? That's what the Target thing, that was what made me go
Yeah.
to Target. 'Cause I was like, you could get a much better t-shirt at Target if you just style it differently and make it in a better color. But it's literally the same thing. And this one's
You mean in
$1,600.
terms of fabric and in terms
In
of
terms of
everything else?
everything, in terms of the way it actually functions, in terms of the fact that you could wash it and you don't have to dry. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that I think about, you know? And so, like, I couldn't believe that the shirt, he was like, well, how much would it be on QVC? And I was like, really? That exact same shirt in that exact same fabric, made better than that, would be like $30, right? At full price. And then you get it on a deal with like that thing they call Easy Pay, right? And so, no, I think my clothes are amazing. Amazing, or I wouldn't be doing it. You know, I wouldn't be doing it. And I think that's what people get from me, like, I mean it or I wouldn't do it.
Well,
you
you're
know?
such a performer. You're such a good performer.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, at the Carlisle, in your cabaret act,
Thank
on
you.
television,
Thanks.
in a talk show format.
Yeah.
This is your forte. One of your fortes
Yeah.
is kind of like being there and kind of putting yourself up.
Yeah, but of course, like, talking to you is interesting because, you know, it's like sort of the other side. When you go like, well, you know, going from designer to QVC, blah, blah. And so I go, oh, maybe she's right. Maybe she's right. You know, and I wonder why you bring it up that way. Do you know what I mean? Why do you
Don't
bring
you see
it
it
up
that way in the doesn't you think that is
No.
the way in the public consciousness? People say QVC is way different than a Marc Jacobs line or Donna Karan or, you know, I don't know, any designer that is now
But
designing couture clothes.
Except the thing is, the point is that I don't want to design those clothes anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
interest in it because to me it's limited in terms of the creativity. It's limited in terms of its scope of creativity, and it's limited in its reach to like actually speaking to like a number of people outside of a small group of people. And I personally do not think that those clothes are influential anymore. Let's face it, this is not the 50s or the 60s or the 70s when
Norman
a couture
Morel
designer
or-
did
yeah.
something and then everybody followed suit. It doesn't even work that way. So like, to me, that was a big conscious decision. And I went to like this completely opposite extreme. I went to a Target and a couture thing, right? I did couture, which was like madly expensive and really irrelevant, and Target, which was incredibly inexpensive and madly relevant. You know what I mean? Like, that was this idea that I had, and that's where I went. And it worked until it didn't work, and then I stopped. You know what I mean?
And you know, it's interesting you say.
And so the idea is that, like, you know, on top of being an artist, right, you also have a certain responsibility as a public figure to represent something, right? And like, I don't think about Marc Jacobs that much or Donna Karan. I love those people. I think they do beautiful, beautiful, wonderful things. But I don't compare myself to them that much. I don't. I did as a kid, like as a 20-year-old, I was like, oh, they're doing this and we're not selling blah, blah, blah. You know, I did that. And he's copying and she's copying. I did that. But I don't do that anymore because I don't feel like I'm in that arena anymore or that realm. I don't want to be. I made a conscious choice, like, sort of not to be, you know? And it's funny because, like, I believed it when I did it. I believe it now. But I guess it's not as convincing because people like you
No, I was just curious myself
Yeah,
because to
right.
me as an outsider, looking at you, it's a big, you've taken a road that started in one place and ended up, or have
Yeah.
gone down a road that has taken you to many other places.
Yes.
Most people kind of don't do that.
Right.
And so, and there have been judgments about it. Like if you're in the high fashion world and then you're selling for QVC, there's a big difference in that. I'm not making a value judgment about it, but I'm saying that in the public consciousness, that is different.
Yeah. Thank God. I mean, like,
All
I did
right.
it. I think it's amazing. Like, I think I'm so successful at it. I'm think I'm doing such a good job.
You're doing an amazing job. How
and
you
it's
sell
so relevant.
many
And
clothes
if you
on
go
QVC.
I don't know what I used to do. I used to do like ball gowns that were like, just 5 people in the world. And I was like, oh, please. And it was like a real type A thing of like staying on track, staying on price, staying whatever it was. And now here I am going like, hey, 7,000 ladies who are buying this t-shirt in 5 minutes, right? Because you love me.
That's a whole different deal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a
I know,
whole
I know,
other
I
thing.
know.
And you represent a whole other thing. And there we are like laughing and having fun and making like a beautiful thing of the subject of these women themselves. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's the way, I feel, that is the way to influence culture. That's the way to influence generations of women. Or, I don't know who is listening to me, and if their strife is at all relieved, it's like a very good thing. And I'm not even saying the callers that say, oh, I had cancer and I laughed a lot and I watched your show and now I don't have cancer anymore. That too, but I'm not even saying that. I'm saying like, what about women who go into dressing rooms with really mean people and who's selling them really expensive clothes and they're not invited to the party or something? I just feel like that's gross and I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't pretend to be that interested in it anymore, I did it for, I think, like maybe 5 or 6 years too long.
Yeah.
And it was showing in the clothes and it was showing in my attitude and I was snappy and not happy and alone. I was alone, I mean, it's like, And by the way, I made a movie called Unzipped, which I think changed couture forever. Like, that was my thing. I was like, okay, guess what? I'm leaving now. I made this movie. You got it. Goodbye. And I don't think there's ever been a better fashion documentary. They can try and try and try because fashion is not the main star of that movie. It's a storyline about something. I mean,
putting
like
on a
that.
show, and you are good at putting on a show. You are.
Yes, I really
good.
am. But I mean, I've done it. I've directed operas since then. I've directed this thing at the Guggenheim, which gets done every single year. That Peter and the Wolf thing, which is a big. I mean, speaking of like new audiences, they're literally 4-year-olds and 7-year-olds. I love what I do.
It's interesting. I didn't see your show at the Jewish Museum, and I don't think they've ever given a show to a fashion designer before.
No, they haven't, but yeah.
And so you were the first, and then I thought it was like interesting because they talk about your unique position at the intersection of high style and popular culture. And that is kind of you, isn't it? I mean,
that's exactly who I want to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I remember like the model walking down the runway in a pink dress, and then there was a pink-dyed poodle.
Yes.
I mean,
right.
you kind of put yourself out there.
Exactly, I did.
Yeah.
I did. And I got, there were tweets about, oh, how could you dye poodles with that? I was like, no, wait a minute, everybody, that was like vegetable dye. It was like, I swear, like we looked into that. Yeah, exactly.
But
because I identify as a poodle. Just kidding.
As a female poodle.
Exactly, a female poodle. Bitch. Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
No, but then, so I don't know. And then, of course, now on QVC, did you do white chocolate dyed with green and navy plaid strips for a cheesecake?
Yes. And that was so innovative and so great. And they sold like mad. And I'm not kidding you. I called them. They were like, oh, you should do like lots of stuff. You should do home furnishings. You should do food. And I was like, okay. And so we had a lot of meetings about the food and it never worked out. The one thing I loved was the cheesecake. And it was an opportunity. And I said, you know what? I have this idea. Like, could you make a plaid cheesecake for Christmas? Because it would be the greatest thing in the world. A frozen, and they're amazing. And I sent them to literally like,
all your friends.
Patsy Tar, like I'm not kidding you, like fabulous socialites who used to wear my clothes were asking if they could get more of those cheesecakes, okay? And
they have to go to QVC.
Yeah, no, well they can't anymore, sadly. No, but it was very difficult. It was like this process. They had to figure out how to like dye the fondant or whatever the
Really?
fondant thing that went on top of the cake. And it took them forever, and they made it, and it was great. And then they made a spring version, which was a Madras plaid for Easter and for Passover, etc. But anyway, that was like a moment. And I love it. Are you kidding me? What fun is that?
But then how does it relate to the Mizrahi Kleenex and the pet food and the Band-Aids and...
Well, I mean, I never made pet food. That's a good idea. But I made pet clothes.
Oh, pet
that
clothes.
were great. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a fun, like...
Whatever comes into your head, essentially. The fact that
it's a combination of that and whatever licensing deals come across my desk, you know,
Yeah.
like that are amusing and that I think are groundbreaking in some way, needful maybe in some way. Because you think about a Band-Aid, it's not the prettiest thing, right?
Right.
It would be great to do
What
a
did
pretty
you think?
Band-Aid.
Oh,
I'll show
do
you. I'll give you a box before you leave.
I'd like to have a box. Well, also, you know, there was something that I read that you said where you talked about that being Jewish, you're never happy, essentially. I mean, I don't know,
Exactly.
talking about you
Well,
individually
no,
or just
I think
culturally in the world, the Jews
I
have
think
all these problems. but-
Culturally, Judaism is not the happiest, you know, the happiest state. But either is New York. New Yorkers are not the happiest people. In a way, they're sort of like happy in their misery or something, you know, and I love, that's who I am. You know, I'm very skeptical and I'm not the most positive person. I'm always looking and finding fault in things, and it's this thing, it's like my mother, I remember we went to one a long time ago, this sums it up. We went to see, it was a Christmas day, and we're Jewish, so we went to the movies, and we went to see A Passage to India, so that was a long time ago, this David Lean picture, right? And we come out of the movie, and we're sitting at dinner, she's like, what now? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, the movie was so amazing, what are we going to talk about, you know? So it's like, unless you're saying that something stinks, and here's why, what are you going to talk about, you know?
Right. No, I relate to that. I totally relate to that. But there was one, I was looking for one thing where you said that basically, you know, the night you wrote in your journal, hey, tonight I really feel chic.
Oh,
once. I've only
once.
congratulated myself once in my life.
Where did you read that?
Oh,
That's
I don't
the
know. I
truth.
read a lot of things about you.
Well, that's the truth. Because, you know, like for JAG, I was having suits made on Savile Row when I was going to London a lot,
What's
right?
JAG?
For a time.
Okay.
For a short JAG, a short time
Oh,
in my
JAG.
life.
Okay.
I was having suits made on Savile Row, you know,
Yeah.
for about 6 or 7 years, right?
Yeah.
And I finally got a beautiful suit, like and they're literally like $12,000. I mean, like they're not cheap, okay?
Yeah.
And I finally got one that was like, you know, and I wore them a little bit. I was always like, ew, this isn't good enough. It's good, and then I would just put it in a bag and I never see it again, you know. Speaking of expensive things that are worthless, you know, but finally the tailor listened to me at the fitting, and he made this, like, by accident, sheer accident, he made this beautiful black suit that actually fit me, you know.
Yeah.
And I had this gorgeous, like, Turnbull Asser shirt that fit me and was made of this incredible stuff, right? And some amazing tie from my own collection probably, and like John Laub shoes that were like couture, you know, like made by hand. And these incredible socks from like some nun in Italy that made them by hand. I mean, literally, it was a moment. And I was really thin, and my hair was good, and I had just come from a facial, and I mean, it was like, you know, and it was for a minute, for literally one night. And it wasn't even like an Oscar thing. It was like some stupid B'nai B'rith thing or something, you know. But I found that I was finally looking like chic. I looked incredible, and every bit of me was just, yeah. But that's it. That's the last time.
But
It will
does
never
that
happen
mean
again.
that you don't feel good every day about yourself? Or
I don't, you know, I have like body issues because I was a fat kid, so I never feel thin
You
enough.
know who else was a fat kid? Bill Clinton, a fat kid from Hope, Arkansas.
Wow.
And I think that he never kind of shed that. Even
No.
though he's like really thin now and he's a vegan.
Yeah.
When you're a fat kid,
You don't shed
it
it.
goes with you to
Yeah.
a certain extent, you know?
Yes, and the other thing is that Bill Clinton is not gay, right? So I
No.
don't think he's gay,
No,
but
I
so
don't
the
think
point
so.
is that like, right, like it's different for a fat gay. Like there isn't, as I said in my show, like I'm sort of the curvy girl of the gays, but there really aren't curvy girls in gay language. You're either gay or you're fat, you know, and so that was not easy. And so no matter what, even when I was underweight, I had a sort of moment where I was like way too thin.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, for a good long time. And even then I thought I was the fattest person in the room, and I really wasn't.
Body
you know.
image.
Body image,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so now I would really love, this is like, I was never able to do this with my body image. I was able to do it with almost everything else, but not my body image. And what I would really like to do is sort of like live in it and accept it. You know, my best friend is Mark Morris. You know, he is a great choreographer.
I live in Brooklyn, and Mark Morris, the dance theater, is right there.
The dance center.
Dance center, right there.
Yeah. Anyway, he is my best friend. And we talk all the time, and he's gotten big too, because, you know, he doesn't dance anymore, etc., etc. He's older, blah, blah. And he was like, no, you know, I'm not fat necessarily. I know I'm not at my ideal weight, but really what it is I'm older, you know, and what is the shame? What is the shame in that, you know? And so I would really like that to be like,
you'd like to
my
get
next,
there.
I would like to get there, to not feel shame about being slightly or very overweight. I don't know what you would consider me, very overweight or slightly overweight. It doesn't matter. I would like to stop caring about it. And what I would like to do more is enjoy food. I would like to enjoy food more. Because now, when I eat stuff I'm not supposed to, I don't really even enjoy it. I just do it because...
You feel guilty.
Yeah, I feel terrible. I don't feel physically well. It doesn't... Yeah. So what I would love to do is just kind of eat to enjoy eating and then just be fine with,
Isn't that really what life is all about, is finding a balance in like all the stuff you do? It's like not being too much one place, too much the other place, but sort of being able to find a place that you feel comfortable in yourself?
Yeah, it is. But it's also like getting to a certain point or a certain age where you actually believe everything that you are supposed to believe, and you stop kind of believing the opposite too. You know what I mean? It's like, because for every single thing I said, I sort of believe the opposite is true too sometimes.
Well,
you know,
do you think you're easily influenced by what other people say? If they were to say something to you about like, well, you're shallow, or you're...
No. You know, I think I go on these downward spirals. I start telling myself that I didn't do good enough, or I'm not this enough or that enough, or somebody's doing better than me or something, or whatever, you know. Competitive, there's an edge, you know. I would like for those times to not exist as much. I would like for the times where I go like, wow, I am so lucky. Like, I love my husband so much. I love my dog so much. I am such a good cook. You know, whatever it is.
So what are the dreams? What are the dreams from going from here?
The dreams, I'm not kidding. The dreams are like even more independence, which would be like, I'm not kidding, this is this crazy thing. I love dogs. And I wish I could help dogs more. Like, it's such a weird thing. I become like this baby. Like, oh, dogs. You know, I can't stand thinking about like helping animals, you know. But specifically dogs. You know, I hear about elephants. I hear about polar bears. It makes my heart break. But dogs, I can't even stand. So I wish I could have more dogs. And I wish I could have like maybe some kind of like stake in a dog shelter. That would make me really happy.
I bet you could do that, Isaac.
That's a dream. That's a dream.
Or a philanthropy.
Yeah.
My brother was talking about setting up a fund for animals. It was like,
yeah.
Really?
That's what I would love to do. That's what I'd love to do. Something like that. If I could ever achieve this kind of like independence where I had the time and the money and for something, I would do that. I would do those things. That's what I really dream of doing, you know? And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Well, listen. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. What an interesting conversation.